the beautiful Texans cheerleaders dressing up our set. We so appreciate them being here with us. And let me just say, if you're just joining us, not only is this crowd hype, Stephen A. and Max are already on fire out of the tunnel. All right. You guys are the best. Thank you. You want to talk some hoops? Let's do it. Yes, thank you guys. Do you want to get into the basketball or not?
I'm here.
Don't give me that face.
I'm here.
You guys see what I deal with
I'm
this
here.
man?
I'm here.
All right, let's get into it. Isaiah Thomas scored 19 of his game-high 44 points in the fourth quarter to help the Celtics rally to beat the Raptors. It was the 10th time this season Thomas has scored at least 15 points in the fourth, twice as many as anybody else in the NBA. He's now averaging 10.5 points per game in the fourth this season, on pace to be the highest by any player in the last 2 decades. We are talking 20 years, Stephen A. Smith. Is Isaiah Thomas challenging Russell Westbrook and James Harden for MVP?
Well, he's clearly challenging them. This dude is something special. He's phenomenal right now. He's averaging 29 a game. He shoots 46% from the field, 38% from three-point range, 91.5% from the free throw line. And Boston is the #2 seed in the Eastern Conference. So in that regard, he is a legitimate MVP candidate who deserves worthy consideration. But I say this in all sincerity. I don't want to hear anybody tell me that James Harden ain't the leading candidate for league MVP. I don't want to hear anybody tell me that. This brother. Now, before I go any further, in the interest of full disclosure, I do have a confession to make.
Okay.
Yesterday was a very, very bad day.
Oh, no.
So much so that, I mean, damn, I might hire from y'all next week when we show video.
What happened?
I played ball with James Harden yesterday, and it was pretty damn bad. I mean, I didn't touch a basketball in a year, and damn it looked like it.
Are you no longer Stephen Naismith?
No, I'm Stephen Naismith. I'm Stephen Naismith because the knowledge, baby, the knowledge.
Okay.
But the problem is my game. It just left me. Okay. Having said all of that, back to this. James Harden is in the Western Conference. We can look at Isaiah Thomas. This brother is special, no doubt. But do you see how weak the East is? There's the Cavaliers and virtually nobody else. Yeah, the Raptors, okay. But, I mean, John Wall, love him. Washington, okay. But it's really the Cavs and everybody else. I mean, you look out west. We didn't think that Houston was going to be this relevant. They're the 3rd seed in the Western Conference.
I told you before the season started.
Well, you told me about their offense, but we're not just talking about their offense. We're talking about them actually winning.
If you take care of James Harden, he won't release the video. Is that what you're angling for here?
No. He's going to release it. I'm telling you right now, James Harden told me. I asked Max.
Can we play it on a loop on this show?
No. It's just bad. Max, I asked James Harden. Please don't do this to me. He said, oh, hell no, this is going viral. This is going viral. He said, I promise you right now, you can look at he wouldn't let me practice. He totally betrayed me and just set me up to be embarrassed. And damn it, it worked. I'm ashamed of
hit you with a Euro step and you bit.
It was bad. But go ahead. James Harden.
Isaiah Thomas, as Floyd Mayweather told us on this show a couple weeks ago, is a legitimate MVP candidate, along with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Now, in my opinion, every year LeBron's playing, he's the MVP, and you'll figure that out by the end of the season.
You're wrong. You're wrong, but go ahead.
In a league where there are 30 teams and 16 of them make the postseason, 16, it's over half the teams make the playoffs. If you don't make the playoffs, you're not an MVP candidate anyway. So you might as well wait till the end of the finals to see who the real MVP is every year every year it's really LeBron. But let me put that aside because that's not the way the award works. Look at the numbers. You mentioned they're 2nd in the conference. They don't have any superstars on that team. And by the way, I was on LA radio when Isaiah Thomas was a free agent every day yelling at the Lakers, sign Isaiah Thomas. And he's cheap. He's 25 years old at the time. He's in his prime. You get him locked up for the next 4 years, under $10 million. As it turned out, it was under $7 million a year. He is an underrated decision maker with the ball. Like Harden and Westbrook and all the great modern point guards, they have to be able to draw They have to draw the defense in because they create penetration off the dribble. He can do that. They have to then be able to finish. He can do that. They have to be able to shoot free throws when they get to the line. He can do that. They have to be able to shoot from the outside. He can do that. Many of what I just mentioned, he can do better than Westbrook or Harden according to the percentages. What he doesn't do is rebound the ball. I mean, his assists are lower than those guys, but his rebounds are very low. But that doesn't mean your team's not getting the rebound. That means you're not getting the rebound, which is the problem with just doing counting numbers in the NBA. He's actually a more efficient player than those guys by many of the percentage numbers. He's got his team without any other real star players. Apologies to Al Horford, who I like a lot, but is not a superstar type player. Second in the conference, and on top of all that, he's tiny. There's something about the narrative of the situation that writers love, that people love in an MVP conversation. So it's not just the numbers and crunching that and everything, because he's similar to those guys in that way. He's also 5'9". The story itself is appealing, that this guy can be that good, have that positive an impact on the fortunes of his team at his size is insane and deserves appreciation and consideration.
Well, first of all, it deserves appreciation and consideration. You're right about that, but you basically picked apart your own argument the minute you opened your mouth and othered LeBron James. Because LeBron James being in the Eastern Conference, and since you sit there and say it's no even need to even talk about anybody else, because LeBron is LeBron and he's the MVP all day, every day, so why the hell are we talking about Isaiah Thomas? Because you're wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is because we have to look at him, what he brings to the table, appreciate that to some degree. My thing is this. When I look at James Harden, I'm looking at a dude that's legitimately 6'4", 6'5". I'm looking at a lefty. I'm looking at a guy. It's not just about what he does in terms of his scoring prowess. It's how he scores, how he has the ability to get individuals in foul trouble, how he's taken a guy like Mike D'Antoni. You got to remember, Mike D'Antoni was phenomenal in Phoenix. Same can't be said of him in New York. Same can't be said of him in L.A., but he comes back to Houston, and it has a lot to do with James Harden. We get all of that. I'm just looking, ultimately what this comes down to is dissecting the significance of the difference between the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. You come to me and you tell me that the Eastern Conference is legit, then Isaiah Thomas's stature as an MVP candidate elevates. But we all know better that the Eastern Conference is not the West, and that's what the
but actually that will play itself out more than anything in the playoffs.
Oh, the Eastern Conference.
In the Western Conference, that will show itself in the playoffs. Now, that's why the ridiculous idea is to just do it in regular season. You've got to see how it plays out in the playoffs. If Harden gets finished in this, let's say, second round of the playoffs, which is likely, then how can you really call him how can you really call him an MVP?
How's it likely?
It's more likely than not that he wins a playoff series, probably gets stopped.
Hold on. I got a question real quick.
I know how Houston feels about that.
Time out. Seriously. Seriously. One would argue that the kryptonite to the San Antonio Spurs is every bit Houston, as much as Golden State, because of Harden. Houston right now is a number 3 seed. That means in the second round, they will play San Antonio, who has proven to us on numerous occasions they are more than capable of losing.
How about this?
Conference
Try this, though. If the Clippers, who will be healthy...
Oh, don't give me no Clippers.
If the Clippers, who will be healthy by then, and by the way, rested as a result of injury, slip far enough, that might be the matchup. And they could lose that in the first round.
Really?
Yeah.
To Blake Griffin?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's
they were down 3-1. You talked about it earlier in the show.
That's you angling to go back to L.A. That's what that's about. Because you ain't got no business thinking that Blake Griffin. Please, stop it. Stop it.
We fear the beard up here, folks. Coming up next, Tom Brady is the favorite to win the Super Bowl MVP, but should he be? We will answer that. And look who is here. The Hall of Famer, Marshall Faulk. He will tell us who he has winning the Super Bowl. To Marshall. He will be with us next. It is first day, live from Houston. Stay here.
Patriots, TV12. How bad does number 2 want it? Touchdown.
Okay, brotherhood on 3. 1, 2, 3. Brotherhood.
Touchdown! Touchdown! Atlanta Falcons will play the New England Patriots in Houston.
Can we just say, gentlemen, The Southern hospitality is real out here in Houston, and we are having a tremendous time. I want to thank all of you for being here with us. We so appreciate you. What you got?
I feel the need to say something.
Okay.
It's very, very important that I get this off my chest. I looked at the crowd outside, the people that couldn't get in. I mean, damn, we got more people here than the Texans get at the game.
Great. Year after year after year after year, game after game after game.
Okay, so he's calling Brady the greatest player ever.
Yep.
Do you concur?
I don't. You have a hell of a case for Brady, but he wouldn't be my greatest ever. Now, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, as I've been saying on this show, even before they made yet another Super Bowl. You have to give it up. Look at the resume. That is tied somewhat to Bill Belichick. I think Bill Belichick is more responsible for the Patriots' success than anyone, but Brady is second most responsible, and the bottom line is you can't separate them because they were together.
I thought Deion shut that down yesterday.
No, Deion shuts a lot of guys down, but not that. The fact is they did work together. We're the results quarterback of all time. You're also the greatest. So they have a hell of an argument there. Here's the thing. If you try to isolate the greatness of a player apart from the influence of the team, the coaches, the offensive line in the case of a quarterback, receivers, what have you, then you're talking about individual players who were most independently great, meaning wherever you would have put them, they'd have balled the same way. I think there are two players on my list ahead of Brady. The greatest player I've ever seen is Lawrence Taylor.
Okay.
Now, interestingly, his linebackers coach for the first 4 or 5 years of his career was Bill Belichick. His defensive coordinator for the next 4 or 5 years of his career was Bill Belichick. So if you say, hey, it's not fair, you say Belichick discounts Brady, what about Lawrence Taylor? I think then the other pick is Jim Brown. Jim Brown was dominating the league at a time, I don't know if any other position player ever dominated the league independent of anything else around him the way Jim Brown did in his era. So I put those two guys ahead of him, but you have a hell of a case for Brady.
I appreciate your Ivy League education and the way you pontificate on so many things. Having said that, I am not giving that kind of, as much as I love and idolize Jim Brown, I am not giving that kind of love to an individual who performed before I was born, and I'm older than you.
Boy, that's
damn right, it's ageism. Call it whatever you want. I ain't doing it. And my point is, if I'm not doing it, you damn sure better not do it because you're younger than me. That's the bottom line. You never saw Jim Brown. All you're going by is what you've read and what you've heard people say and a little bit of clip, which were, by the way, in black and white. Let's stop it. I love Jim Brown. The God bless him. I appreciate the reverence he deserves, but damn it, he was doing it before I was born. I don't recall.
What are you going to say to the people who didn't see Michael Jordan?
Listen.
What are you going to say to the people who didn't see Michael Jordan?
Good one, Mac.
Well, technology has elevated. Color, television, DVD, all of that. There's plenty of footage to go back and watch Michael Jordan. I'm not sure that's the case with Jim Brown. Now let me get back to my point. I agree with you about Lawrence Taylor because of the impact and the fear that he instilled. But there's another point. I'm a Montana guy, even though I give Brady love, and he's absolutely phenomenal. I'm a Montana guy, and here's why I'm a Montana over Brady guy. Yes, Montana had Walsh, but Brady had Belichick. He had Belichick much longer. The thing that resonates with me, that bothers me, that never gets mentioned about Brady, he lost to the Giants once. He lost to the Giants twice. He should have lost the third time to the Seattle Seahawks if it wasn't for the worst call in Super Bowl history by Pete Carroll and Darrell Bevell deciding to throw a damn pass over the middle instead of giving Beast Mode the ball at the half-yard line when the previous play he went from the 5-yard line to the half-yard line, which is a 4.5-yard carry with the game on the line. Give him the damn ball again. The fact that they messed up and made the most idiotic call in NFL history as far as I'm concerned. I love Pete Carroll, but my God, that was just beyond stupid to make that call. In the end, that is my problem. I look at Tom Brady, and at the end of the day, I legitimately look at 2 Super Bowl losses and what should have been 3 Super Bowl losses, which means that it would be right now 13 years since Tom Brady had won a Super Bowl. And that's what it is.
You're making a
and that's what it is
mistake.
To me.
This is why, although at this point, Brady, the reason Brady's the greatest of all time at the position is because he has the Joe Montana intangibles argument that Montana had against Marino because Montana won all the Super Bowls. And just like you know, he also has the Derek Jeter over A-Rod argument, like, I have all the championships.
Well, it
was always Peyton versus Brady. Peyton had the numbers, Brady had the chips. Now Brady has Peyton numbers and the chips. It's tough to argue against them. But people like Molly, slightly, you can't totally overrate Brady, but I believe slightly overrate Brady
Max,
because it's a team.
He's never won a Super Bowl with an all-pro receiver,
Right.
and I'm tired of the Bill Belichick.
Because he didn't win.
He's a defensive-minded coach.
But the only reason he didn't win with an all-pro receiver is because he didn't win when he had Randy Moss and went undefeated because the Giants beat him. So it's a misleading stat.
But
The point
he
is,
set a ton of records that year when he had
sure.
Randy Moss.
Yeah, right. But they lost the Super Bowl. The point is, it's a fact.
He's been to 7
The point
Super
is,
Bowls.
right, it's a
7.
It's a team sport. And Brady gets extra credit for being on a great team, which he has a lot to do with, but so does his coach. So does Montana. It's
You're
not
confusing me.
It's not
Great
Brady's
team.
fault. Montana was on a great team with a great coach, so he won a lot of Super Bowls. You're giving him credit for that. It's not the same thing as in basketball, where if you're on a crewed-up team and you're the best player, you're supposed to win. In football, it doesn't work
All right,
like
well,
that.
wait a minute. But here would be my retort. Montana had Rice. He had an all-world receiver. He won with them. Tom Brady had an all-world receiver in Randy Moss. He lost with them. But he's won with lesser quality receivers than Randy Moss.
Making Chris Hogan a star right now.
Well, listen, where dare I say, Mollywood, you have to calm down. Okay. You have to calm down.
I thought I shut this argument down with my final take, but clearly not so.
Here's where you need to calm down, Mollywood.
I'll breathe.
You act like we're insulting Tom Brady because we did have the gall to mention that we might prefer Joe Montana. I mean, my Lord, it's not like we're talking about him against Jay Cutler. We're talking about Joe Montana.
Montana went 4-0 in the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying.
Brady's lost some Super Bowls. And let's not forget, in the first half of Brady's career, the kind of quarterback he was in the Super Bowl was he gets you in field goal range, and Vinatieri would take care of it for you. Like, that's what the reputation was.
Yeah, that's what his reputation.
That's what it was. It was like, well, yeah, you got Vinatieri on your team to kick the game-winning field goal. You just got to get in field goal range. That was also unfair to Brady because he helped get him in field goal range. The point is, Molly, it's a team sport, and Brady deserves a ton of credit, but not too much.
Well, listen, we all know it's a team sport, but what we can't forget is this. We call Michael Jordan the greatest. Michael Jordan don't have the most rings. That would be Bill Russell. But we know it's MJ, don't we? And then, by the way, we also have an individual in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar who has just as many rings as Michael Jordan, scored more points than Michael Jordan in his career, okay? Not only had more all-star appearances, lasted longer, and also not only happens to be the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, but the one individual with the most unstoppable move in the history of the sport. And we don't call him the greatest. So when y'all bring up Brady, and we talk about how many Super Bowl appearances, and we talk about all of this other stuff, y'all are acting like, oh, the appearances and his greatness, that does it all. And I'm saying, wait a minute, Montana, there's something to be said for being unblemished in multiple championship games. Appearances.
Montana is undefeated. I don't want to have two arguments at once. The problem is I'm arguing with you about Brady and you about Montana. I want to stay to the Brady.
Yeah, especially when you lose
Montana. I'm
go ahead.
somehow beating them both easily.
But have it. That's what the problem is. But go ahead.
The point is that you're saying he's unblemished, when the blemishes aren't exactly Brady's fault. It's not like he played poorly against great Giants.
No, wait a minute.
In those games.
You were 18-0. You went undefeated during the regular season. You won the 2 playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. When you got to the Super Bowl, keep in mind, they had arguably the most prolific offense in NFL history at the time. Brady threw 50 touchdowns. Randy Moss scored about 23 or 24 touchdowns. And when Tom Brady was asked about being limited to X number of points,
he laughed about it.
Hold on, wait a minute, because I'm getting to your point. He laughed about it, and then that's exactly what happened to him. That counts against you. When you laugh about, you're going to hold us to 17 points, okay, and they got shut down.
Actually, had he scored 17 points, they'd have been in overtime.
There you go.
Even scored 17 points. But if you watch the game,
you got to hold that against him.
He played well. You are attributing team success. You're putting it all on the quarterback.
You're damn right.
I have a question.
14 points?
I have a question. So you would rather have Joe Montana, you would rather have somebody be 4-0 than go to 7 Super Bowls?
Yes.
Okay, you'd rather have a perfect record than 7
Perfection in multiple appearances matters to me. I understand that Tom Brady has been to 7 Super Bowls. I appreciate that as a Patriots fan. But when I'm measuring greatness, I'm thinking in the biggest moment, the biggest stage, you are undefeated. That resonates with me, which is why we held it against LeBron, because LeBron had lost titles.
Let's say that you give it to Montana that he was more clutch in the Super Bowl. I think I agree with that, actually. Montana was more clutch than Brady in the Super Bowl. So does clutchness in the Super Bowl the only thing that matters? Because it's not as though Brady hasn't been clutch.
Well, first of all, don't get slick. You use the operative word. Hold it. You use the operative word.
That's the way it is.
You know I'm not saying only. I'm saying primary. In other words, you and I have debated on several occasions, and you and I as well, Molly Wood. I have repeatedly said, listen, this is my experience as a reporter for 24 years, covering 20 finals and all of this other stuff. I literally find myself looking at games. I have seen key moments where palms get sweaty, backsides get tight, because dudes panic when the pressure mounts. I ain't going to call out anybody's names because I'm in a good mood. But trust me, it has happened. And I'm telling you right now, when somebody steps up in those key clutch moments and they show you that this don't even faze me, do you understand who I am and what this moment is? That matters.
I agree.
Especially when you're unblemished. It matters.
You remember when they used to have to take Joe Montana off the field in a stretcher playing the Giants
in the Super Bowl.
In the NFC Championship game. So if the Giants were in the other division, they'd have lost the Super Bowl.
All right.
Nah, that's injuries. That's injuries.
We got to keep it moving.
Injuries because they were getting at Montana.
Brady didn't show up offensively to the degree that they did when they lost the first Super Bowl to the Giants.
But who were they playing? They were both playing the Giants. Just one played in the same conference. That's the only difference.
Okay.
They both lost to the Giants.
Let's leave it there, guys. We want to get into the NBA. So will Brady get his 5th ring? We want you guys to weigh in. Go on our First Take Twitter page and vote #FTSuperPick. We want to hear from you, and we will track those and share them a little later. And a big show planned for you all. 2 Hall of Famers in the house. Barry Sanders, Marshall Faulk. We cannot wait. Also ahead, Isaiah Thomas dropped 44 on the Raptors in a win. Is it time to start including him in the MVP combo? We get into all of it